That's why a lot of the fights in UFC started to go into the ground, and like guys are confused about how to fight today. If you look at you see a lot of confusion. You see a lot of great fights, but you don't see after 28 years, almost 30 years in this sport, you don't see it where you see the dynamics like it should. Everybody still plod, wait, that's kind of thing like that. You don't see it like it should. Why? Because the Gracies not only cheated, not necessarily I'll say they cheated, but what they were doing is uh, they changed the rules so their system couldn't get tested. You say, how do we
Yeah.
know that to be true? Is that they had 130 years ago, 30 years ago, or 28 years ago, they had 170 first cousins in the Gracie family.
Wow.
170.
Wow.
How many how many MMA fighter or champions do you see them have? How many UFC fighters do you see them have? You mean after 30 years you can't produce one UFC champion?
Right.
One? Go back and look at it. Every one of the Gracies that fought in the UFC got smoked. That's because they didn't put their system to the test like everybody else did, because everybody else had to fail in the beginning. They did not. So they went off of those four fights that Hoist got, handpicked certain things, called guys to the arena to fight when guys weren't ready and prepared. And Hoist did his job and beat him. I ain't gonna take that away from him. But when it came down to a system getting tested, never got tested. Never got tested. And then everybody else started going to the Machado brothers and then going to Brazil, to the Carlson Gracie family. And now you start to see other Vanderlei Silva, Victor Belfort, Damian Maia, you see all those cats. That's a different side of the family.
Right.
So if you kind of look at it, you go, wait a minute, what was the fruit of that? Is their system has never been tested. In fact, let me rephrase, that's not true. Hoist was tested, and he failed miserably when he came back and fought Matt Hughes.
Right.
If that fight is in Brazil, Matt Hughes could, if the referee doesn't stop it, seriously hurt Hoist. Because Hoist ain't gonna tap out. His family wouldn't have thrown in the towel. He'd have gone out of the ring like that. That's Matt Hughes you're talking about. So where was the Gracie system when there were no more secrets? Yet the karate fighters today, the Muay Thai fighters today, the kickboxing guys, the wrestlers guy, all of us evolved, except the Gracie family.
Wow. Right. That's crazy.
If you think about it, like that's how legal. So what I'm saying is that not only did they, it was a setup kind of thing a little bit. What I took it for was a moment to evolve. They couldn't evolve. See, I told Horian to his face, I said, Horian, you got to do two things. One, you either got to teach Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to everybody, it's going to evolve, which things means you let the cat out of the bag. Or two, you got to close up shop, don't teach it to anybody else, and you can't make no money. What you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So you know what? It sold out like every other karate system was. So Jiu-Jitsu got watered down. Then you had the Eddie Bravos, all those guys come in with their own ideas and start making it grow and start doing other things with it, and was allowed to do other things with it. And that's what made grappling what it is today. It's not the Gracies. It's not the Gracies. They gave us the basics of it, but the fighting aspect of it. And you say, okay, Zane, what's your acid test? Go back to UFC 9. That was the turning point. Don Fry versus Armin Patesh. John McCarthy don't stop that fight. Again, Armin Patesh is seriously injured. And he was one of the better Carlson Gracie style fighters.